In the heart of the desolate ghost town, where shadows danced eerily against dilapidated buildings and the whispers of the past lingered in the chilling wind, there lay a sinister lair hidden from the prying eyes of the living. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones by those who dared to speak of it at all, for it was said to be the domain of creatures not bound by the laws of men or the mercy of God. The story began with a group of hunters who had ventured into the ghost town in search of thrill and fortune, heedless of the warnings that echoed through the abandoned streets. Armed with rifles and lanterns, they trespassed into the darkness, their laughter echoing off the crumbling walls as they boasted of their bravery. But their bravado soon turned to fear as they stumbled upon the lair of the werewolves, hidden deep within the bowels of the town. It was a place of nightmares, where bones littered the ground like macabre trophies and the stench of blood hung heavy in the air. The hunters, realizing too late the grave mistake they had made, attempted to flee, but the werewolves were upon them in an instant, their howls of rage echoing through the night as they descended upon their prey with savage fury. Limbs were torn asunder, screams pierced the darkness, and the once defiant hunters were reduced to nothing but mangled corpses strewn across the cold, unforgiving ground. But the werewolves were not satisfied with mere slaughter. No, they craved vengeance against those who dared to intrude upon their territory, and so they set about crafting a plan to lure more unsuspecting victims into their deadly trap. Using their cunning and primal instincts, the werewolves began to stalk the outskirts of the ghost town, preying upon any unfortunate soul who dared to wander too close. They struck swiftly and without mercy, dragging their victims back to the lair where they would meet a fate far worse than death. And so, the legend of the ghost town grew even darker, as tales spread of the vengeful spirits that haunted its streets and the bloodthirsty creatures that lurked in the shadows. But despite the warnings and the countless lives lost to its malevolent grasp, there were still those who dared to venture into the darkness, driven by curiosity or greed. Little did they know that they were but lambs to the slaughter, pawns in a game played by forces far beyond their comprehension. For the werewolves of the ghost town were not content to remain hidden forever, and with each passing night, their hunger for vengeance only grew stronger, their thirst for blood unquenchable. And so, the stage is set for a showdown between man and beast, a battle for survival in a world where the line between reality and nightmare has been irrevocably blurred. Who will emerge victorious in this deadly game of cat and mouse? Only time will tell, as the darkness of the ghost town continues to beckon, its secrets waiting to be unearthed by those foolish enough to seek them out. As the moon cast its pale light over the desolate streets of the ghost town, a new group of unwitting travelers approached its outskirts, drawn by rumors of hidden treasure and forgotten riches. Among them was a young woman named Emily, her determination outweighing her fear as she ventured into the heart of the darkness. Unaware of the danger that lurked in the shadows, Emily pressed forward, her footsteps echoing off the crumbling buildings as she searched for clues to the town's mysterious past. But as she delved deeper into its secrets, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes following her every move. It wasn't long before Emily stumbled upon the remnants of the hunters who had met their gruesome fate at the hands of the werewolves. Horror washed over her as she gazed upon the carnage, realizing too late the true nature of the danger that lurked within the ghost town's walls. Desperate to escape, Emily turned to flee, but it was already too late. The werewolves had caught her scent, and they were closing in fast. With nowhere left to run, Emily found herself trapped in the heart of the darkness, her only hope for survival resting on her ability to outwit the creatures that hunted her. But as the night wore on and the howls of the werewolves grew closer, Emily realized that she was not alone in the ghost town. There were others like her, lost souls who had wandered into the darkness seeking answers to questions best left unanswered. Together, they formed an unlikely alliance, banding together to fend off the relentless onslaught of the werewolves and uncover the truth behind the town's sinister past. With each passing moment, the tension mounted, the air thick with the scent of blood and the promise of imminent danger. And as dawn broke on the horizon, casting its golden light over the desolate landscape, Emily and her newfound companions prepared to face their ultimate challenge. For the ghost town held more than just secrets buried beneath its haunted streets. It held the key to their survival in a world where the line between reality and nightmare had been irrevocably blurred. But whether they would emerge from the darkness unscathed or succumb to the horrors that lurked within remained to be seen. as the final chapter of their harrowing tale had yet to be written. As Emily and her companions braced themselves for the impending confrontation with the werewolves, a sudden realization dawned upon them. The creatures were not mere mindless beasts, but intelligent beings driven by a deep-seated thirst for vengeance. With this revelation came a glimmer of hope that perhaps, despite their primal instincts, the werewolves could be reasoned with, their thirst for blood quenched through diplomacy rather than violence. And so, armed with newfound determination, Emily and her companions set out to seek an audience with the leaders of the werewolf pack. Their journey through the ghost town was fraught with peril, as they navigated its treacherous streets and evaded the watchful eyes of the werewolves, who prowled in search of prey. But with each step they took, they grew more determined to uncover the truth behind the town's dark history and put an end to the cycle of violence that had plagued it for so long. Finally, they reached the heart of the werewolves' lair, where their leaders awaited them with bated breath. With trembling hands and voices filled with urgency, Emily and her companions pleaded their case, recounting the horrors they had witnessed and the lives that had been lost to the senseless bloodshed. To their surprise, the leaders of the werewolf pack listened intently, their eyes betraying a glimmer of something akin to understanding. Slowly, reluctantly, they revealed the truth behind their thirst for vengeance, a truth that shook Emily to her core and threatened to unravel everything she thought she knew about the world around her. For the werewolves were not always creatures of darkness, but once proud inhabitants of the ghost town who had been driven to the brink of extinction by the greed and cruelty of mankind. Their lair had been their sanctuary, a place of refuge from the horrors that lurked beyond its walls. But when the hunters had come, seeking to plunder the town's riches and claim it as their own, they had unleashed a wave of violence that threatened to destroy everything the werewolves held dear. Faced with the annihilation of their kind, they had no choice but to fight back, to defend their home and their way of life at any cost. As the truth of their plight sank in, Emily realized that the key to ending the cycle of violence lay not in battle, but in understanding and forgiveness. And so, with the leaders of the werewolf pack at her side, she vowed to seek peace between their two peoples, to forge a new future where the ghost town could be a place of refuge and healing rather than fear and despair. But even as hope loomed in the darkness, a shadowy figure watched from the sidelines, his eyes gleaming with malice and a hunger for power that knew no bounds. For the true mastermind behind the horrors of the ghost town had yet to reveal himself, his twisted schemes far from reaching their bloody conclusion. And so, as Emily and her companions embarked on their journey towards reconciliation, they knew that the true battle had only just begun. For the darkness that lurked within the ghost town was not so easily vanquished, and the sins of the past would not be so easily forgotten. As Emily and her companions worked towards reconciliation between humans and werewolves, a shadowy figure lurked in the periphery, plotting to exploit the fragile peace for his own sinister purposes. This figure, known only as the Dark One, had long coveted the power that lay hidden within the ghost town, and he saw the truce between humans and werewolves as an obstacle to his ambitions. Using deception and manipulation, the Dark One began to sow seeds of discord between the two factions, whispering lies and half-truths into the ears of those who would listen. He preyed upon the fears and prejudices that still lingered on both sides, stoking the flames of mistrust and resentment until they threatened to consume everything in their path. Meanwhile, Emily and her companions worked tirelessly to bridge the divide between humans and werewolves, organizing meetings and negotiations in the hopes of fostering understanding and cooperation. But with each passing day, they found their efforts thwarted at every turn, as tensions continued to escalate and the fragile peace they had fought so hard to achieve hung in the balance. As the situation grew increasingly dire, Emily realized that they were running out of time. They needed to uncover the truth behind the Dark One's machinations and stop him before it was too late. And so, she gathered her companions and set out to confront the source of the growing unrest that threatened to tear their fragile alliance apart. Their journey led them deep into the heart of the ghost town, where they discovered the Dark One's lair hidden within the shadows of the abandoned buildings. There, amidst flickering torches and ancient tomes, they confronted the malevolent figure who had been pulling the strings from the shadows. But the Dark One was not so easily defeated. With a flick of his wrist, he unleashed a wave of dark magic that sent Emily and her companions reeling, their minds clouded by illusions and their bodies weakened by unseen forces. It seemed as though all hope was lost, as the Dark One prepared to claim victory and plunge the ghost town into eternal darkness. But in their darkest hour, a glimmer of light emerged, a beacon of hope that refused to be extinguished. With sheer determination and unwavering resolve, Emily and her companions fought back against the darkness, rallying their strength and channeling their inner courage until they stood united against their common enemy. And as the final battle raged on, the fate of the ghost town hung in the balance. Would Emily and her companions emerge victorious, or would the Dark One succeed in his twisted quest for power and domination? Only time would tell, as the echoes of their struggle reverberated through the haunted streets, their outcome uncertain and their destiny unwritten. With the clash between Emily's group and the Dark One reaching its climax, a new and unexpected ally emerged from the shadows. A figure cloaked in mystery and wielding powers beyond comprehension stepped forward, confronting the Dark One with a confidence that sent shivers down his spine. This enigmatic figure, known only as the Guardian, revealed himself to be a protector of the ghost town, tasked with safeguarding its secrets and maintaining the delicate balance between light and darkness. With a wave of his hand, he unleashed a torrent of magic that sent the Dark One reeling, his dark schemes unraveling before him. As the Dark One struggled to regain his footing, Emily and her companions seized the opportunity to strike, channeling their combined strength and determination into a final, decisive blow. With a burst of light and energy, they banished the Dark One from the ghost town, casting him out into the depths of the abyss from which he had emerged. But even as the threat of the Dark One was vanquished, the true nature of the ghost town's secrets remained shrouded in mystery. With the Guardian's guidance, Emily and her companions delved deep into its hidden chambers, uncovering ancient artifacts and forbidden knowledge that hinted at the town's true purpose. It soon became clear that the ghost town was more than just a forgotten relic of the past. It was a nexus of power, a place where the boundaries between worlds were thin and the veil between reality and illusion was easily pierced. And lurking within its depths were entities of unimaginable power and malevolence, waiting to be unleashed upon the unsuspecting world. Determined to prevent such a catastrophe, Emily and her companions vowed to protect the ghost town and its secrets at all costs, forming a new alliance with the Guardian and the Werewolf Pack to ensure its continued safety. Together, they forged a bond that transcended the boundaries of race and species, united in their shared purpose to keep the darkness at bay. But even as they celebrated their hard-won victory, a sense of unease lingered in the air, for they knew that the forces they had faced were but a glimpse of the true horrors that lurked beyond the veil, waiting for their chance to strike. And as they stood on the precipice of a new dawn, they knew that their journey was far from over, and that the true test of their strength and resolve was yet to come. And so, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the desolate streets of the ghost town, Emily and her companions stood vigilant, their eyes scanning the darkness for any sign of the looming threat that still lurked beyond the veil. For though they had emerged victorious in their battle against the Dark One, they knew that the forces of darkness were relentless and insidious, always waiting for their chance to strike. And as they prepared to face whatever new challenges awaited them, they found solace in the bonds of friendship and camaraderie that had been forged in the crucible of adversity. As they stood together, united in purpose and determination, they knew that no matter what trials lay ahead, they would face them head-on, armed with the knowledge that as long as they stood together, they would never be truly alone. And so, with hearts filled with hope and resolve, they gazed out into the darkness, ready to confront whatever awaited them in the uncertain future that lay ahead, their fate intertwined with the fate of the ghost town itself. And as the echoes of their journey faded into the night, the true ending of their story remained unwritten, a testament to the enduring spirit of courage and resilience that burned bright within them all.